Merhaba arkadaşlar, ben Emre. Vampir'e kaldığımız yerden devam ediyoruz. En son hemşireyi arıyorduk, Dorothy'yi. Dorothy miydi? İsim hafızam çok kötü. Neyi arıyorduk? İşte bir tane hemşireyi arıyorduk. Herkesi sorguluyor şu anda. Kim var, kim yok. Senden başlayalım.
Excuse me, sir. Are you familiar with this part of town? Name's Clayton Darby, reporter.
Sorry.
Muhabirmiş bu da.
But perhaps you could help me since you're a journalist. My name is Jonathan Reed.
Dr. Reed, the famous surgeon. I'll gladly help if I'm able, sir.
Why are the newspapers keeping silent about the Spanish influenza? It's as though none of you care.
There's a war going on. People shouldn't be demoralized by news of deadly diseases.
Rezalet.
It's a disgrace. People are left to die alone. No one is properly informed of the risks.
These are bad times indeed. So much for the glorious British Empire.
Have you any idea of the danger you face in these streets at night?
I've had to run and hide more than once from frenzied mobs incensed by the fever. Do you think the flu is really responsible for this, Doctor?
Akılcılığın. Bu basit bir salgın değil.
I'm convinced there is more at work here than a simple epidemic.
Really? To be honest, I could say the same. Some of the sick I saw or heard of. My God, what happened to them?
What is a journalist doing in this borough after sunset?
He goes where none of his colleagues would dare to go, to inform the country.
So you risk your life to reveal the truth. I saw many reporters do the same during the war.
Whitechapel is the crucible of so many untold stories and tragedies. I want people to know them.
That's
Halk
quite
ilgileniyor mu?
honorable of you. But is the public interested?
Not at all, sir. And that's why I'm an independent journalist, hoping to sell some stories.
Tamam. Kişisel bir şey. Hayır, tabii ki de.
I heard you're investigating an underground medical dispensary in Whitechapel. What do you know about it?
Not much, I'm afraid. They are wary of strangers, and I'm not really an acquaintance of theirs. Why do you care?
Ben halk sağlığını
I'm
önemsiyorum.
a doctor, Mr. Darby. I care about everything involving public health and this epidemic.
Are you sure you're not just concerned about the repercussions that a scandal involving a certain nurse Crane from the Pembroke Hospital would bring?
Without a doubt, you are a damn fine journalist, Mr. Darby. What do you know of her accomplice, a man named Darius?
I don't know much about the man. He's very cautious, never goes out, doesn't seem to have any friends or family.
Akrabası
He has
yokmuş.
no relatives at all?
No, except for that strange man, a poet named Richard Nethercott. Sometimes comes by. Darius would never let him in.
Where can I find this Mr. Nethercott?
He spends most of his time lurking around Whitechapel, talking to himself or declaring verses. These days, you can usually find him behind the church.
He never goes out.
No, a few days ago he unexpectedly did. I followed him, but it was just a ruse to keep me away from his house.
Really? How do you know?
He went to the nearest mailbox, but just before posting his letter, he ripped it up and threw it away.
Tamamdır.
Goodbye, Mr. Darby. Farewell.
Tamam. Sen?
Forgive my interruption.
Do not apologize, my son. Father Tobias Whitaker is always happy to teach mortals about the incoming Armageddon.
I am Dr. Jonathan Reed, and I just have a few questions.
A scientist? You are much more lost than I thought, my son.
What do you mean when you say that I am more lost than you thought?
All scientists are entangled in a world of causes and consequences. And most of them can't see the plain truth.
Quite a judgmental opinion, if you ask me. But what do I know? Blinded by science as I am.
Well, you are seeking answers, aren't you? Answers about the Armageddon about to strike the city. Answers about the hidden truth.
Sadece gerçekler.
But the answers I seek are based on facts, not superstition. What do you mean when you say that I am more lost than you thought?
All scientists are equal. You.
I
Tamam, onu sormayacağım. Kişisel.
Have you any friends? Any family left in these terrible times?
No. But I have a disciple I see as my son. He is so devoted. I sent him to preach the good word in the heart of this corrupted city.
Buraya nereye
Where
gönderdin?
did you send him?
I sent Samuel to the Stonebridge Cemetery, where the pestilence and evil
Salak
flow
mısın ya?
night after night.
O çocuk çoktan öteki tarafı boyuyordu.
You sent him on some preaching crusade during the epidemic.
As a true believer, Samuel will fear no evil while he walks through the valley of the shadow of death.
Hakikaten gerizekalısın ya.
Do you know Nurse Dorothy Crane from the Pembroke Hospital? I'd like to know more about her.
I don't like the liberal ideas of nurses, but I especially abhor that Nurse Crane you mentioned.
So
Sevmiyorum.
you're not exactly a fan of Florence Nightingale's work. But nurses are essential for modern healthcare.
Nuns should be the only women allowed to take care of male patients. It's obvious only they have the necessary moral fiber.
Why do you hate Nurse Crane more than other nurses?
Before coming to London, she was a member of the communist resistance in her country. That's what happens when you let a woman get involved in politics.
I have heard enough for tonight.
Ne kadar dar bir bakış açısı ya. Peder bir de daha da darlaşmış. Şurada bir kadın var.
Would you like me to? Don't be shy, handsome. What can Christina do for you?
I'm not looking for what you're selling. But I'd like to ask you a few questions, if I may. I'm a doctor, Dr. Reed.
All right then, but be quick. Though I usually get paid when I open my mouth.
Sardı.
Christina, have you been examined? The epidemic is spreading fast in London, and you could be exposed, or expose others.
I don't like doctors or hospitals, but I don't like you asking questions.
Considering your line of work, I assure you it is only a matter of time before you have health issues.
If it is going to happen, it will happen. Right now, I need money. That's what's important.
You can put your own life in danger, that's your decision. But what about your clients? If you're contaminated, you will put them in danger too.
And you think that would worry me? If you knew the men I deal with, their health would not be what you'd worry about.
Clayton Darby claims he will expose the crisis in Whitechapel to all of London. Do you believe him?
I believe Clayton's courage will erode with time, until he finally leaves Whitechapel to start another fight somewhere else.
Neden
this skepticism?
gecisin?
How can you speak about starvation if you've never been hungry? Or about poverty? Or anything else you have never suffered from?
Are you talking from experience?
I've seen your type come here to get a good fuck in a cheap room or a dark alley before going back to their fancy houses in the West End.
Do you know Nurse Dorothy Crane from the Pembroke Hospital? Anything you can tell me about her would be helpful.
I don't know her, but I know her name is Dorothea Crăciunescu. She came from Romania like me and many others.
You seem to respect her.
Dorothea helps the sick people of Whitechapel. Everyone should respect that.
Kişisel.
Tell me about it.
Varmış.
Are you joking with me? People don't usually come to see me for conversation.
I have no interest in your work. I am, however, curious as to what led you into this career.
Short story. The war, exile, and England. This country is not especially welcoming. I've been refused many jobs because of where I am from.
Seni yargılamıyor.
I always thought I was the master of my own fate. But now I know we don't always have control over our lives. I don't judge you.
You know, this money is not only for me. I have good reasons to need this money quickly. But it is not your concern, Doctor.
Goodbye, Min.
Ben buradayım.
Cheap price, good quality. Come on, take a look. Don't be afraid.
Burada niye kan var?
It's locked.
Adam şu evin içinde.
Hello, young man. I'm Dr. Reed, and I would like to ask you a few questions. May I enter, please?
Sorry, no, sir. My father does not like people entering our house, you see.
Evimizin.
Your father is worried about you, boy. He asked me to look for you.
So my father actually worries about me then? Okay then. Come on in. I'm Harry, by the way. Is there only pain and suffering in this world?
So,
Konuşalım bakalım.
may
Sen
I
Harry.
ask you a few questions?
I'm not bothered. What could be worse?
Nasıl?
How do you feel?
I'm fine. I mean, it's not easy every day, but I'm fine. I'm just tired of being sick all the time. If only I could be tough like... Well, you know.
Speaking of which, what can you tell me about your father?
My father is an idiot who makes idiot things. That's all I have to say.
Forgive
Burada
my
yaşamak
bluntness,
mutlu değil
young man,
misin?
but you don't seem happy living in Whitechapel.
Why should I? I never wanted to come here in the first place. It was my father's decision. And look around you. Does this look like a nice place to live?
Ev diyeceğim bir yerim mi var?
You have a roof over your head, a place to call home. Many people here are not as lucky, you know.
That's exactly what my father says. Harry, you should be grateful for what you've got.
Doğru söyle.
But I wasn't even consulted when we moved here.
If life here is so terrible for you, why don't you just leave this place? Have you ever spoken to your father about it?
I don't go outside. It terrifies me so. I went outside once without my father noticing and I saw terrible things. Bloody and frightening things.
So that's why you stay at home all day? For fear of the epidemic?
I'm not afraid of disease or death, Dr. Reed. It's the living I'm afraid of.
Kişisel.
Your father and Mr. Lewis used to be good friends. What happened, Harry?
I was young then. I don't remember Mr. Lewis ever coming back again after my mother died. Or was it after my father started bullying him? I don't know.
Konuştun
Have
mu?
you tried speaking to Mr. Lewis about it?
I don't go out often, but yes. And he scolded me and told me to leave him alone. I guess my father frightens him too much.
But you are not responsible for your father's actions.
Am I not? Dad always says that he joined that gang for my safety. So if I wasn't born, people wouldn't be worrying about Colossus Joe.
Do you know Nurse Dorothy Crane?
Şimdi de sorun bitti.
I'd like to know more about her.
Yes, I know her. She came here to examine me when I was very sick. She said I should go out more.
Goodbye, young man.
Is there
Goodbye.
any pain and suffering in this world?
It's locked.
Is there only pain and suffering in this world?
Tamam, susar mısın?
I know it's hard to believe, but this district has always been wretched.
Richard.
Now he judges your words and actions.
Ben Richard diye birini bulmadım ya.
I know it's hard to believe, but this district has always been
Hepsi de uzakta gözüküyor. Şöyle bakayım.
Come on, take a look. Don't be afraid.
Şöyle de ısırayım seni bir. Uhiu. Adam olun lan. Ah, sen eksiktin, bir kurt adam daha. Kafamı ıstırdı. Kafamı ıstırdı. Otur. Ya böyle kombolayıp kesiyor ya, sinir oluyorum ya. Benim hatam. Geriye dojlayıp can basacaktım. Can az olunca keserim zannediyorsun işte. En sonra bir anda şerefsiz kombosu açıyor. Şöyle öpeyim seni de. Ne sıktığını çözemedim ama. Yat aşağı. Gideyim de köpek kesem. Ha, it. Ha, it oğlu it. Garip garip sesler. Balta bulduk. Bakalım. Az vuruyormuş. Dur lan, daha indiğim ben bile haberim yok. Koca yerde sadece sandık mı varmış? Gel gel, sen eksiktin anasını satayım. Bunu da hediye olarak al. Şöyle gideceğiz. Ben zaten buradan geldim. Lan. Ay Allah'ım. İt oğlu it ya. Niye iki tane var lan bunda? Vampir yokmuş gibi başımın belası. Bir de şey çıktı. Kurt adam çıktı. Bir daha mı keseceğim bir de? Öf. Ben bunların hepsini keseyim. Bir sonraki bölüm devam edeyim. Beğenmeyi, yorum atmayı ve abone olmayı unutmayın. Bir sonraki bölümde görüşmek üzere. Bay bay.